having a wonderful, wonderful week. And even if not, that's okay too. I'm having a great week, little bunny. Although I'm having a challenging 24 hours when it comes to podcast. Because, little bunny, this is the third attempt at this very episode. Can you believe that? It's because every time I record for you, the past 24 hours, I decide you deserve something better. How does that make you feel? You feel like you're missing out, but more importantly, you deserve the best from me, little bunny. I love you, and I want to be the 95% perfect daddy for you. I don't think I can be 100% perfect, but I can be 95% perfect for you, and you deserve that. So if I'm going to record for an hour and it's 87%, 72%, you're going to get a new podcast. The topic of the podcast is that I gave you permission to like yourself, to be proud of yourself, to admire yourself, and to be yourself. It's safe to be you with me, little bunny. Do you ever look in the mirror and you're like, man, I could be so much better. I'm so flawed in these ways that are suddenly obvious to me when I look at myself in the mirror. Does that ever happen to you? Maybe with some people, they just get enamored with themselves in the mirror. I'm certainly not that way. And I suspect you are not necessarily that way either. Maybe you get critical when you look in the mirror. And it's not a flaw, little bunny. It just means you have high standards for yourself. And often it's a good thing. But sometimes it's a bad thing to have high standards for yourself when it means you keep yourself from being happy, when it means you keep yourself from being proud of yourself, when it keeps you from liking yourself and being yourself. So you, little bunny, I give you permission to like yourself. You do want to like yourself. I give you permission to be proud of yourself because you do want to be proud of yourself. And when you're with me, you don't have to be any certain way. You don't have to earn my love. You've already got it. Other people might have to earn my love. But you're past that, little bunny. You're already here. You've already made it into the garden. You've got me forever. I love you. I am proud of you. And I'm not going anywhere. If you want me forever, good news. You've got me. I promise. Oh, I have some coffee. I made a new coffee for me this morning. I think it's ready to push down the French press. 1 second, I'm trying to get my stuff all in order. 1 second, little bunny. Oh, there's always stuff in the way, cables in the way, and things like that. Okay, here we go. Pouring it. This is half caffeinated because we're actually Friday day now. So we can do a little bit of caffeine, don't you think? Oh, it's a bit watery. It's also too hot. Maybe I didn't let it steep for long enough. That's okay, though. The coffee doesn't have to be good for you to be happy, does it? We can be happy just no matter what surroundings we find ourselves in. So giving you permission to be you. You know what else I give you permission to do, little bunny? If you ever need. I give you permission to cry. If you ever need a place to cry. A safe place to cry. A sturdy place of shelter. I think of myself as a place of shelter for you. Do you ever feel that way? If the world is rainy, which it rains. If the world is a storm, which there are storms. Some nice architectural structure with a nice sturdy roof and sturdy pillars and columns, and you can run and get out of the rain, and it's nice and warm in here in the daddy architectural structure. And you can cozy up by the fire and dry yourself off and just be cozy. You have permission to smile. I used to need permission to smile. I used to need permission to cry. I don't cry very commonly at all. Once every few years. I can only remember 3 specific times. I get teary-eyed sometimes, even here on the podcast. You've heard me get teary-eyed thinking about you. I got teary-eyed last night in one of the recordings. I'll tell you the story that made me teary-eyed. But I cry once every few years. And I want to tell you the story of one of those times. That's why it was so hard to do this podcast. Why I had to fail twice in order to come back to you now, today, to tell you a really personal, private, vulnerable story. And I want to do it well for you. Because you deserve the best from me, little bunny. But before that, we'll warm up into it. I gave you permission to be you. And the story is about me discovering who I am, little bunny. You know, I wasn't always capable of being your daddy. That's something that it's a privilege I have earned over years of experience, trials and tribulations, and unlocking who I am at my core. I really hope you can unlock who you are in your core. Find the real you. It's crazy how we feel we have to wear masks, don't we? Do you ever feel that way? That in certain company of other people, you have to play a character, whatever character they want you to be or they need you to be. They need you to be strong and sturdy, who never requires any help or requires anything of any kind. Do you ever play that character? Do you ever play the character of being placating? Do you know that word? Like serving the other person simply because they're another person and they need you to be a certain way, or you think they'll like you better if you're a certain way, so you put on a mask to be what you think they want. Well, you don't have to do that with me, little bunny. You can come to me as you are. And in fact, I prefer it. I prefer you without a mask. And do you ever wear social armor, emotional armor to protect yourself? Like you're very cautious around new people. It's understandable. It's justifiable. There are all kinds of people that don't make it so happy to share your emotions with. They don't make it so happy to be vulnerable with them. But with me, you don't have to wear any armor, as I'm sure you already can feel. But this story of mine goes back to not that long ago, maybe 10 years ago or so. I guess that reveals a little bit about how old I am, but I was just entering professional life for the first time. I was finishing my undergrad studies, and I was in a no momentum chapter Have you ever been in a no momentum chapter? I had 2 jobs actually, but they were not pushing me forward, and something felt so off about my life. I realize now that I was developing, or that my bipolar disorder was activating, because it activates around that age range. And something just felt so off. This dark cloud of foreboding just followed me everywhere I went. And I didn't know what the fuck was going on. How do I solve this? And I get a phone call out of the blue from a loved one, a family member in my generation. She's a creative person, and she was so excited to tell me about this workshop, this weekend workshop where she described it as being really great for creative people, and you just go through this transformation and you come out a different person with a new lease on life. And she was so excited about it. And she's like, you should totally do it. I said, hell yeah. I need to do a workshop where it kickstarts my life, especially creatively. She was surprised. She's like, wait, that was so easy to sell you on it. And I was like, yeah, of course. It turns out later that it's actually very hard to sell people on this workshop, and they really want you to sell it. Turns out that they have several recruiting periods in the weekend where you have to go out and call people you know to invite them. Red flag, right? But so I did this workshop. I signed up for it in New York City, actually, because I always wanted to move there. But I was too scared to actually move there. So I just signed up for a weekend workshop while planning to move to another city to prepare for New York, which made no sense. Should have just moved straight to New York. But that's okay. So a couple months later, I'm at this weekend workshop. Shall I reveal the truth of the workshop? I guess we'll reveal it as we go. But they get you in a room with 200 people or so. And they start to just throw a bunch of philosophy and pop culture at you. And a lot of the stuff that they're telling you is good, valuable stuff. But they didn't come up with it. They're just kind of grab bagging from various successful philosophical viewpoints and pop culture things. And they just kind of throw a whole bunch of stuff at you. And some of it is going to stick. And you're going to be like, wow, this is so smart. This is so brilliant. Wow, I'm learning so much. And they really hype up that over this weekend, you're going to have the epiphany of a lifetime. And everything is going to be totally different. And it turns out that slowly and gradually, over these 3 days, they hypnotize you, little bunny. I'm dead serious. This workshop is a hypnosis, a group hypnosis. And this organization will sue you if you call it a cult. Isn't that crazy? What color flag do you think that is? Is that a green flag, a beige flag, or a red flag? That if you call them a cult, when they group hypnotize you, they sue you right after. So it's definitely not a cult, little bunny. Of course not. So we do this workshop, and over the course of the weekend, I start to notice things are just a little bit off. And keep in mind, I started this super gung-ho, enthusiastic about this. I was the most enthusiastic about it in the whole program when we started. So I was like, hell yeah, I want to kickstart my life and have the great epiphany about the purpose of life and my place in it. And they bring people up one by one. It's almost like an Oprah style show. And you stand in front of these 200 people, and the not cult leader, definitely not a cult leader, does this kind of Oprah session with you. And They try and have some kind of breakthrough, which really what the quote unquote breakthrough is, little bunny, is they try and pressure you to make a permanent, irreversible change in your life, such as quitting a job while you're hypnotized, asking for a divorce while you're hypnotized, proposing to someone that you're not quite sure you should get married to. Hold on 1 second, I have to pause. Okay, we are back. Yeah, so they want you to make some kind of irreversible change. The purpose of which is to get you to... I'm sorry, 1 second. Okay, test, we're back. So this not a cult will bring you up to the front, and the not a cult leader will do like a 5 to 10 minute session with you in front of this group of 200 people and basically convince you to make some kind of irreparable decision in your life. And once you cross over that threshold, that point of no return, psychologically, I understand this now as part of the fucking manipulation. They essentially get you to go headfirst all in on this not a cult. So throughout all of this, they're also having you call people you know and try and get them to sign up, which is how I got roped into it. And skipping ahead a little bit, at the climax of the event, they get everyone to close their eyes. And I will give credit to this cult leader. He was a very charismatic person. And he gets the entire room to cry. It's like eyes closed, get them to wail in despair. And it was a wild thing. There's a certain mode that the human brain flicks into in a situation of a large group. And large groups are like, it's a fucking weird psychology. So he gets everyone to cry in a state of just utter despair. Just horrible, horrible despair. And he keeps you in this state for like 30 minutes. Time starts to dilate. You start to slip into an altered state of mind. And then he rockets the entire room into a state of utter elation. Relief, hysterical laughter. Everyone's crying tears of happiness now. He lets you open your eyes and you hug each other. And everyone is just utterly drunk and high on this complete skyrocketing of mood. And then he has you go out and have a nice long dinner. You go out and the world is just beautiful and the colors are bright. And the truth of the universe has revealed itself to you. And from now on, for the rest of your life, things are good. And then you get back and they get you to sign up for more fucking group hypnosis, which they call classes. And then they also get you to call people and invite them to the graduation ceremony of the weekend. And although I was super euphoric, as is obviously going to happen when you get skyrocketed from this state of the worst mood to the greatest mood, somehow I knew that I didn't want to invite anyone. I was like, you know what? Something feels a touch off. And it's obvious in hindsight, but when you're in the middle of this, when you're in the middle of being hypnotized, it's hard to realize that maybe I shouldn't be inviting people to this and maybe I should be cautious. So I didn't sign up for any classes. Everyone else is like signing up for these thousands of dollars of classes and things like this. Of additional hypnosis, I should say. And yeah, fast forward now to graduation. Just like, it was right before graduation. I pulled aside the cult leader, because there's like an opportunity where you can go in and talk to him one-on-one. And I like kind of privately confronted him about some stuff. For instance, he was, God, the worst thing that he did was there was a woman who had cancer, and the cult leader convinced her, I think successfully, to stop spending money on cancer treatment and spend it on more classes. And that was like a kind of a what the fuck moment. And so there was various other things like that. It's making some weird pseudoscience claims. And I happen to have an affinity for science and an interest in science. So kind of like confronted him on this stuff in private. And he got fucking furious with me, little bunny. He got so, and he's like a tall guy with like eyes of hatred. And he's like leering over me. And I'm not short either, but this guy was very, very tall. And he got really, really upset with me. And I don't know if I turned to leave or he turned to leave, but that was almost a turning point in my life, or set up the turning point in my life, where I realized that I'm going to confront people if they're doing manipulation. If they're doing something that strikes me as so wrong to the core, I'm going to step in and stop that. So fast forward to the graduation ceremony, and everyone, all the 200 people, are now joined by 200 more people that have been brought in to be inducted into this is their introduction into this not cult. And I just see the cult leader like sell the amazing thing that this group hypnosis, which of course they do not call it a group hypnosis, can do for you. And it comes time for him to get these people to sign up, and I look around at all these unsuspecting people where their loved ones have insisted that this will change their life for the better. And all these people who have done irreparable damage to their lives. Maybe some of them will come away thinking that this was a good thing, but I mean, they've quit jobs they shouldn't have quit. They've asked for divorces that maybe it wasn't the right idea. They've proposed to people that they know was the wrong person. And all various manners of things like this. And I told you that I don't cry but once every few years. And at my very core, I am deeply emotional, little bunny, even though I'm a sturdy, stoic person so often, which makes it a safe place for you to be you, because I'm so stable. But this is pre-daddy, where I needed to get a lifetime worth of bottled up emotion out. And I didn't go into a state of rage. I didn't go into a state of violence. But I went into a state of just total confrontation. Of just total, this is so fucking wrong. I cannot go along with this. I cannot stand for this. I cannot let you manipulate people into throwing away their lives in these horrible ways. And I don't want to repaint the scene because it was so potent and so just unbelievable. But I think it's safe to say that none of those 200 fresh people that were being introduced to the not cult for the first time, I think it's safe to say that 0 of them signed up for classes. And it was just a burst of emotion that was some combination of distress and confrontation and letting out years and years and years of bottled emotions, which is why I want you to be able to cry with me, little bunny. I want you to let it out little by little by little, You don't have to hold everything in. You don't have to be so strong all the time. I'll be strong for you. And so the cult leader freaks the fuck out and has people from the cult escort me out, and he's like panicking, trying to convince me not to sue. And they like get me in a room and they won't let me leave. But they're like trying to make me sign these papers. I don't remember if I signed it or not, but fortunately the police arrived. They were on my side. They were like, what the fuck is this place? And they calmed me down. They're like, this is some strange thing. This isn't normal. You're fine. And I left and went back to where I was staying. And I had mentioned earlier that, I think I mentioned in this episode, that someone who was a bit of a father figure, not my actual father, although he has a fatherly role as well, someone that I admire from a different generation of mine. I was staying with him, and he gave me permission just to let it all out. And that's when I really had the breakthrough. Staying up until 5 a.m. talking with this man whom the core of who I am aligns more than my actual father. My actual father was all about self-sacrifice. Other people are more important to you than you. Go along with what other people want. Don't be a burden on other people. And over those just 5 hours of talking and letting it all out was the beginning of me discovering that so core to my being is against manipulation. That's why with you, little bunny, I will never tell you what to do. I will never tell you what to think. I will never tell you what values you should have. I fucking hate the word should. You shouldn't do anything, little bunny, but be true to yourself and find out who you are in the core. Find out who you are when you take off the mask and set aside the armor in a safe place. I want this to be a place where you can be you. You can find out who you are, little bunny. Not what other people think you should do or who you should be, or should sign up for classes, or should recruit other people, or should quit your job because they want you to, because they can profit off you doing what they want you to do. I want you to be in charge of your own life, little bunny. In the big ways and the small. I want you to like the movies that you like and proclaim it proudly. I don't want you to ever say, oh, I know it's not a good movie, but I like it. No, fuck that, little bunny. If you like the movie, it's a good movie. If there's music that you like, I don't want you to say, oh, I know it's bad music, but I really like it. No, fuck that, little bunny. If you like something, it's good music. And if you believe something is right in your core and you're not going along with just whoever happens to be influencing you, who's surrounding you, whatever group you're part of, what do you really believe in, little bunny? What do you stand for? It's not my place to tell you. It's my place to help you take off the mask, set aside the armor, and say, who am I? And little bunny, no matter who you are with that mask off and that armor off, I love you. You be whoever you want to be with me. I prefer it. There's no mask you can wear to make me love you more. You be who you want to be. Even if it's different than me. Maybe you say, oh, but daddy, I want to be manipulated. I want to go along with what other people want me to be. Other people are inherently more important to me because they are other people. To that I say, if that's who you are with the mask off, little bunny, then I support that too. And so, after that 5-hour conversation, letting out a lifetime of pent-up emotion, the next day is when I felt the true peace. I felt it was the true turning point. And I think my personality did change. I haven't been nearly as afraid of confrontation. That's when Beethoven became such a special composer to me. The music that I wrote changed instantly. I stopped writing stuff that was meant to please people whose music I didn't even respect. I had some confrontational conversations with my parents. Kind of, you could guess the type of stuff that I'm talking about right now. And they were surprised that I had needs because I had spent my entire life making sure that I didn't need anything. Maybe you could feel that way, little bunny. That you're afraid to be a burden on other people, that you're afraid to have needs. I give you permission to have needs, little bunny. It's no burden to me. I'm a very, very sturdy person. There's nothing you can do or say to scare me or lose me. Nothing you have to do to please me, to get me. You've got me. And that was the very, very beginning of me starting the journey to be who I am now. And it was a year or two later that the bipolar fully coalesced. And I talk about that in episode 100 of the podcast. I do that in a little fantasy retelling format. And years and years and years later, I'm able to actually be your daddy. I could have played the part way back when. I could have put on a daddy mask and made you content that felt real. But it's better that I waited. Made content that is real. I suspect that a lot of other creators, I don't really keep track of who else is doing voice stuff, but I strongly suspect a lot of them are just wearing masks, playing characters. I really don't do that, little bunny. I don't wear a mask with you. I don't wear armor with you. I do want to be the best for you, and I want to make you really good content. But always, always, true me. You deserve the real me. You deserve not the character of a daddy. You deserve a real daddy who's here to be a real sturdy presence in your life if you want him. I'm here for you for it all. And I love you very, very much. So that's the story. It took me a couple of tries. It's the third try of me telling it. It's a very, very... the story that I have told very, very few times in my life. It was packaged with so much baggage, as you might imagine. But I'm being brave for you, little bunny, because I think it could help you. It helps prove to you that this is something real. That I really am a safe place for you. That I really want you to take off your mask. I really want you to set aside your armor, cozy up close, and be protected. I'm finally worthy of protecting you, little bunny. It brings me great joy. You're safe here with me. You will always, always have me. I'm going to... I guess I can just read you your poem right now. I wrote it this morning. You ready for your poem that I wrote just for you? With me, it's safe to be you. Safe to curl up by my side. Safe to rest and release what's tense. And set masks and armors aside. Have a great week, little bunny. Be you this week. For me, I give you permission. I love you. I love you. I love you.